Hello friends, it's Jana Eubank. I'm back with another Hip Kit Club layout, and today I'm creating my first scrapbook page using the May 2023 kits, which is the Wildflowers collection. Now all of the products, all of the papers, all of the embellishments, all the letter stickers, everything in these kits are exclusively designed by Hip Kit Club, and so you can only find them in the Hip Kits. I love the juicy colors of the May kit, and I'm actually going to base my entire scrapbook page design around this paper. This paper is the Fresh New Day paper. I love the rows of hexagons, and I decided that I would cut out about 5 of them and use them as a vertical element on my layout. Now I'm just lightly placing it there to get an idea of placement here because I want to do some stenciling on the background cardstock before I start designing my page. So I'm pulling out the color kit, and in the color kit this month we received 2 stencils. We received one that has like wildflower silhouettes, and then we received this one that has a mandala designed. We also received 3 paints. There's Berry Hot, Orange Sherbet, and Giddy About Green. Now my idea for this is that I wanted to add a subtle texture with the stencil onto my page. So I searched through my stash and I found a piece of tulle netting. You could use any kind of netting on this. And I decided to place it under my stencil, then placed the stencil on top, and now I am pouncing the paint through both the tulle and the stencil. Here's the grand reveal of the first one, and I will do another one so you can see it, but it worked. It created this subtle netting texture you can see there, and I love it. I think it's going to be really cool on this layout. Now I'm going to do this again on the other side of the page, and I want to talk about the paints a little bit. The first paint that I'm using is the Orange Sherbet, and I'm spacing it out so that I can add the Berry Hot pink in between the orange color. Now the Orange Sherbet is beautiful. It has kind of a pearlescent feel to it. It's so pretty. And I'm just pouncing my paintbrush right into the paint. So it does cause some darker and lighter parts of the paint. If that bothers you, you may want to add it to a palette or onto acrylic block first before you add some water to it so that you can get a more consistent feel in the paint. But I'm okay with the variegated. I think it adds interest to this layout. Now the Berry Hot and the Giddy About Green paint are water activated paints. So you will want to spritz them with some water and let it sit for a while to soften up the medium, and then you can work with it. So here's where the Berry Hot comes in, and I love the way that this orange and pink work together. So I'll go ahead and lift that. Now I do want to mention that you would, whatever netting you use, you want to place it underneath your stencil because the stencil will hold it in place while you work. You also want to pounce your paint or your ink because if you rub it back and forth, it will move the stencil or the netting around. Now what was cool is that the design got transferred onto the netting as well. So, you know, maybe you could figure out a cool way to use that once that dries. While my background dries, I will be cutting out these hexagon strips, and I'm going to be accordion folding these along those white lines. Those white printed lines made me think, okay, I'm going to score along all these lines, and then I can fold these strips back and forth and create some really fun texture on this layout. So that's what I'm doing here. I'll finish the rest of the strips off camera, and I'm just using like the last few lines of my scoreboard that helped me to line up the pattern a little bit. It didn't exactly line up with the lines on my board, so I did have to move the strip a little bit here and there to make sure I could score those spaces in the right place. So here I am just accordion folding the last strip, and as I adhere these to the background of the layout, I'm going to overlap them a little bit. Now the way that I adhered them is I'm using a quick drying glue. This one is by Nuvo, and I'm just adding the glue to the bottom or underneath the valley of each of these accordion folded strips, leaving the peaks of the strip open without glue. Now once I get the glue onto the strip, I just lightly set it onto the background. Again, here's where I overlap the other one a little bit, and then I allowed those pieces to dry. Now this will probably get smashed a little bit under my sheet protector, but surprisingly, with all of those little glues along the entire strip, and because those strips span the entire length or height of this layout, I think they'll actually fare pretty well in my book. So we'll have to see. I'm interested to see how that goes. Now back to my photo, I'm going to map my photo up with some cardstocks from the cardstock kit. And I love the names of all the papers. The solid colors have some really fun, juicy names this month. We have grape, banana, and then the background paper I used was called ice. Almost like snow cone flavors, right? Doesn't that make you excited for summer? So we have our grape and banana on top, and then we will place them on our icy background. Now I decided to do the soft yellow with this purple or this grape cardstock because I like the way that it looked. And I decided to do the lighter floral from the cardstock pack. So that's the banana right there. Now I want to talk about my layout or my photo a little bit. This week we are scrapbooking all about our fathers and our sons and our grandpas as we're leading up to Father's Day. And this is a photo of my son when he was a teenager. He had come to us and kind of complained that he wasn't feeling well, that his arms and his legs were really achy. And we had taken him to a family doctor, and he said, you know what, you've grown a lot. Like you've grown about a foot in the last year and a half. And so you're probably just experiencing some growing pains. So we're waiting it out a little bit. But this is my kid. This is my son that like rode his bike all over the city. You know, he didn't have his driver's license yet. So he used his bike to get everywhere. He also played the guitar, and it was starting to affect his mobility. Like he couldn't play the guitar. So he came to my husband and I one night just with tears in his eyes. And he just said, you know what, Mom and Dad, I'm scared. I don't feel right. Like I think it's more than that. I'm worried. So we decided to go down the road of, taking him to a children's hospital in Salt Lake City and seeing if there was a more serious problem. And we found out that he had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which is not a fun thing, right? It's not a fun thing to deal with, and he'll have to deal with it the rest of his life. But as a parent, your mind goes down the thoughts of, oh my gosh, maybe he has cancer, or maybe it's more, a really serious problem. And so thankfully it wasn't. And my heart goes out to families who do deal with that because there was that worry there. In fact, that's why I'm pulling in the clouds here as part of my die cuts, because it is when you face a trial or when you face a challenge in your life, your mind goes a million directions. And so I thought the clouds kind of signified that for this page. So anyway, this photo is of my son at his first doctor appointment, and it was the beginning of our journey of looking for answers. And so that will also be the title of my page, which is Looking for Answers. So all the die cuts that I'm using here are from the main kit, and a lot of them have this beautiful silver foiling detail on them. You can kind of see that there on the clouds. I love that because our die cuts are usually the pieces that are the top layers of our layouts, and so it adds a fun sparkle and shine to the page. In the top right corner, you saw that I brought in a chipboard piece and a puffy sticker, and the chipboard piece is from the embellishment kit. So I also went through the die cuts. I don't think I may have just showed part of that on camera and kind of pulled out some of the die cuts that I wanted to use, and you can see those off to the right. I have the birds, the butterflies, the florals. I found a little love you phrase that I thought I could incorporate into this, and so I will start pulling those in. Of course, I use the flowers as you saw. I will also end up using the birds. And then here I am going to add this little love you phrase to the cloud along with one of the puffy hearts from the main kit. I just look at that big sheet of puffy stickers. Aren't those fun? You have all of those icons. You have little phrases and titles. You even have little phrase strips. So lots of fun things here. Now I mostly just use the puffy hearts on this layout for this particular page to just accent here and there, but I will definitely be going back to those puffy stickers and using them on other projects. They have a matte finish to them and they're so squishy, so fun, just like little marshmallows. Okay, so I adhered my photo to the accordion strips with some liquid glue as you saw there, and now I'm turning my attention over to the journaling and to my title. For this layout, I decided to print my journaling out on some vellum. It was a longer story, so I was able to include more of that story when I type it. And also I printed it on vellum so that you could see that awesome stenciling through the writing. So I'm going to add that to the right side of the page. And then now I'm going to work on my title. Now there's so many cute alphabets in the kits this month. I love that foam sticker, or right here, these are the multicolored foam letters from the main kit. We have a beautiful grape colored script font in the embellishment kit. And then I will even pull in the puffy tiny alphabet stickers from the Pocket Life kit. And those are, this month we have two colors of green, a shamrock and a lime. So super, super cute. So my title, like I mentioned before, is Looking for Answers. I spelled out the word answers with those multicolored foam letters. I will come in with these script letters in grape from the embellishment kit, and then I will spell the word for with those shamrock puffy stickers. And again, that they are a nice matte texture and super cute, super tiny. I love the font, and I love the color that it adds to the right side of the page. We have all of this interesting texture happening on the left side, and then the title or the photos kind of, highlighted with the colors of the flowers, and then that title rounds it out perfectly. So I'm back at the puffy stickers from the main kit. I add in that bird. I add in some more hearts around the clouds on the left side because I had previously added some hearts around the clouds on the right side. So I'm adding some repetition there. And then I will add in some more birds. But right now I am looking for a phrase actually. I want to add a phrase along the bottom of this photo. So I'm looking through the phrase strips in the Pocket Life kit, and then I actually end up finding a phrase in the embellishment kit that would work. This embellishment or this phrase says, "I am so excited that this worked out." And I was excited, but it felt like too exuberant of a word for this worrisome time, you know what I mean? So I actually went to another phrase in that same die cut pack that said "so glad." And so I'm kind of cutting them apart and replacing the word "I am so excited" to "I am so glad that this worked out." And that just seemed to go with the tone of this the subject of my layout a little bit better. So don't be afraid to do that. Cut and paste and and make your phrases work for you. I did trim parts of those phrases a little skinnier because the "so glad" phrase was a little skinnier, so that they all match each other. Okay, I added in one more heart puffy sticker by the chipboard piece, and now I'm just adjusting my title a little bit. It looked a little too far to the right, so I'm just moving it all over slightly, which worked out because now the word "for" isn't overlapping that part of the letter G. Okay, so now I love this design. I'm ready to finish it off. And what I decided to do was bring in the Giddy About green paint. Again, this is another one that needs to be water activated. So spritz it with some water, let that paint medium kind of soften up, and then come back to it so you can use it. This time I am placing some of that paint onto my acrylic block, and then I'm spritzing it with water just to make it a little more ruddy so I can splatter it across my layout. I'm just using some scrap pieces of paper, from like a little notepad that you would write a grocery list on, to cover my photo and my journaling, and I'm just placing them over the page, and so that I only get splatters on the parts that I want to. All right, I will show you in slow motion the details of this layout so you can see all of those fun accordion folds, that fun stenciling we did. I hope you give that technique a try by using some netting or some tulle underneath your stencil, and stipple on your paint or your ink. See how that works out for you. All right, guys, again, these are the May 2023 kits by HipKit. My name is Jana Eubank. We'll see you again soon.